is Language Manager. Languages come in a certain back-end language and a front-end language. The back-end would be where we are at now, and the front-end language would be here. And what happens when you install a language? For instance, now it is in English and it says log out, login form, your details, and log out, etc., which I will do right away. I'll go back to extensions.joomla.org, and when I look for language here, you can see that they have a complete category for languages by itself, 132. And we choose translations for Joomla. Then the first we see is Russian. My Russian is not that good. What I will do is I'll use French. My French isn't good either, but at least I can work with that a bit. I'll click on download. And we have several, and again, be aware of the fact that there's Joomla 1.5 and still Joomla 1.0 available. French language full. So I'll save that to my desktop. I'll close that, and this one. Same as for all the items like components, modules, plugins, templates. The language installation also goes through the regular install-uninstall mechanism. I click on Browse. I look for my downloaded language. I click on Open and upload the file and install. Install language success. And now I can go to my language manager. And as you can see, we have a site, which I mentioned is the front end. And we have administrator, which is the back end. And not all languages or language packs that you download will immediately be for the front end and the back end. In this case, French is, so that's a good thing. English is my default. I will set the default on French. And when I now refresh my page, as you can see, the language parts that Joomla gives us are now all in French. So password, etc. And the items that you don't see in French are of course just written items or menu names that were given by ourselves. So that's of course not translated, but it's about the standard language parts in Joomla, like your login name and password name, like the footer itself. It will all be translated into the language that you have chosen. For the administrator part, it's the same thing. If I choose French and set it on default, as you can see, all my menus and all the parts in my administration is now in French. So I will put it back on English because that for me is a bit easier than French. I'll put the site back on English as well. And when we refresh, as you can see, the login form, the items like forget password or username are all in English again. And it would consist of the read more text that would be or would go from English to French, etc. So without having to translate everything manually, Joomla can be put in any language that you would like, next to the fact that there are also, um, for instance, real translations, but then I'm talking about, for instance, having a little English flag and a French flag, and then um, you have certain components that can deal with translation of your content itself. But that's a completely different chapter. We have run through the extensions menu. Now we go to